It's time for another community build roundup, and this week's episode we're going to be checking out some custom shelving, bike wheel storage, a soccer goal enclosure, a folding camp table, and some generator covers. All kinds of really cool builds from you guys, and there's some really great techniques and things within them that we're going to highlight. So with that said, let's jump right into the builds. First up are these shelves, and these come from JS. It's fantastic. Said he's got a basement area. It looks like the ceiling is kind of short, which makes it difficult to find off-the-shelf solutions that are already pre-made to fit the dimensions. So he custom-made these shelves with EMT conduit and maker pipe connectors, and they look fantastic. Looks like he's got tons of storage. He looks like he painted the conduit. I think he said he even added a clear coat and really spent some time on the process to make sure it would hold up great. It was a really good thing to do if you want it to look good and long lasting. But he used this nice like powder blue color, which is cool. And then basically he used maker pipe connectors. See things like the T connector there. I see some others as well, like the adjustable angle connector underneath. Maybe he was using that. Looks like there's no bottom piece in there. Maybe he was using that as like a crossbar or something to hold certain things in, but that's kind of the, benefit of custom storage like this. You can customize it on the fly. You can add on to it later, do all kinds of stuff, but it looks like he's using 90-degree connectors in the corners, kind of make this rectangle shape. And it looks like he's got all kinds of different canvas sizes and just different paintings and different things needed to store. So kind of customize these different dimensions based on that. This one's a little taller than this one over here. And then this side is even taller than that. Got the shelving up top so you can lay things flat up there. And just a really great example of custom storage that you can make with maker pipe and conduit. And I think in this other photo we can see the frame. Here it is. It looks like he's got some tubes down here that are kind of going up and just creating a divider for the paintings. Looks like he's using the 5-way connector down there for that. Oh, here's where we can see the adjustable angle. Looks like he did have a certain crossbar up that probably changed on the fly, for something that he was doing, specific paintings or whatever. But really cool and just a great project. And it looks like it's up off the ground a little bit. It looks like he's using wood to kind of support it. And then also he's got, a short stub sticking out of these 5-way connectors and through the 4-way connector there to kind of elevate this off the ground a little bit, probably just in case it floods, give you a little bit of clearance if water gets down in there in the basement. But really cool, like I said, great example of custom storage made with conduit and connectors. Thanks so much, JS, for sharing this. We really appreciate it. Next up is a really simple project, but it's really awesome, and the people that made it are doing something really cool. This is bike wheel storage, and basically this was put together. Fred shared it with us. I don't know if he's the one that built it. I think it might have been someone else that volunteers for this nonprofit organization. It's called Our Community Bikes, and they're in the Rochester, New York area. And they restore old bikes. They'll get them, fix them up, and they'll give them to adults and children in need in the Rochester area, which is really cool. And apparently they also have a section that they actually sell some old bike parts and some refurbished parts that they can, raise some money to continue the charity that they're doing, where they're, fixing things and repairing old bikes. But basically they used the maker pipe flange, as you can see here, bolted directly to the concrete wall, just 4 bolts going into the wall, and they just got a piece of EMT conduit coming out. They added a self-tapping screw just to kind of add a little stop for the wheel so they don't slide off the front, and basically just added a bunch of these racks to basically store bike wheels and kind of get them off of the table and off of the ground so people could come in and could buy the bike rims and the parts, and then they can raise some money to continue their work, which is really cool. Definitely check out their Instagram. I'll link it down below, as well as their website, and you can check them out. They're doing some really cool stuff, and it's always cool to see maker pipe and conduit play a really small part in cool stuff that people are doing. So really, thanks so much, Fred, for sharing this. I love seeing it. Next up is a project from Jeremy, and this is a soccer goal enclosure. You can see here they've got a soccer goal. I think he said his daughters are practicing soccer, and they've got a goal set up down here, as you can see, this one here. And they've got their soccer ball, and they're basically practicing in here, and they're in their backyard, and you know how it goes. There's a soccer ball or basketball, whatever it is, your kid's playing outside, and it gets kicked over the fence and goes into the neighbor's yard, and that turns into a whole fun adventure. But he built this enclosure to kind of eliminate that problem, where basically it's just a giant rectangular box, probably 90-degree connectors in the corners, got 4 verticals going up, and then he's got, the 90s in the corners to kind of create this rectangular shape. And that's really the best way to make a 3-dimensional rectangle, is just to use 90-degree connectors in the corners like that. He's using 4 of them and pretty much made this whole box that way. I'd imagine there's probably some down here in this corner, and then probably T connectors up here to make this this kind of half U shape for the bottom. And then he's just got some enclosure material, looks like some netting secured to the frame. I don't think he shared exactly how he did that, but I would imagine probably just using the fabric clips that we have on the website, or using, actually I think I see Velcro straps up there, or maybe the ball bungees. Those are all great methods for securing things like this. If you've got grommets, it seems like the way to go is just ball bungees or those bungee hooks. I think most days now, whenever we see projects like this, it's almost always those ball bungees because they work so great and they're inexpensive. So definitely check those out if your material has grommets. But then he's also got some insulation or pool noodles secured to the pipes in the frame, just to kind of reduce the ricochet if the ball hits it. That'll kind of help absorb some of the impact so it doesn't, bounce off into the neighbor's yard or something. This other fence on the left of the enclosure is pretty short, so I imagine that they were probably had a lot of soccer balls going over the fence into the neighbor's yard all the time. So this enclosure should help with that. So really cool. Thanks so much for sharing this, Jeremy. We love seeing it. Next up is a really great one. This one comes from JW, and some people commented on this when we shared it on the YouTube community post. And if you haven't seen that, if you go to our channel under community, you'll see we share a lot of these builds throughout the week as they're shared with us. This is a folding camper table, or camping table, and it's really cool. Basically, I think he said he secures it to the front of a raft if they're going on a rafting adventure and they have to flat pack and save as much space in the raft as possible. So he's got this that folds up and you can put it on the raft. And basically, it looks like he used all T connectors for this. Where basically, I said 90-degree connectors work best for a 3-dimensional rectangle, but if you've got a 2-dimensional rectangle like this one that goes all the way around this tabletop, then T connectors work best for 2-dimensional rectangles. And in the photo we have of the T connector on the website, it looks like that the pipe goes continuously through the T, which you can use it that way for all kinds of different things, but you can also use it as an elbow. Most people don't realize that you can use it as an elbow where the piece of conduit goes and then sits flush with the end. That's something to keep in mind if you're making projects like this. But basically, just that 2-dimensional rectangle going all the way around, and then he grabs onto this horizontal pipe on the end with T connectors, and that is actually what's creating the folding mechanism for swiveling this. I think I still see the friction band on there, so he's probably just kind of just applying a bunch of force, and because the pipes are so long, he's able to just rotate those around the tube. But you can also, if you want to make that smoother of a hinge, then you could take the friction band off the top of the T connector, and that'll help with that. You probably wouldn't want to do that in this scenario because then it might fold down really easily when you don't want it to. But speaking of which, because of that, he added, well, actually real quick, let me highlight, he used the 1-hole straps to secure the tabletop to the framework. And we'll notice here there looks like some kind of hook there, probably just an eye hook or eye bolt threaded into the tabletop. And that's important because in this other photo, when it's actually deployed, we can see that he's using a strap to pull the legs tight to each other and keep them from folding in. And I need to reach out and see exactly how this works and how well this works. But I imagine, or as you can see, it looks like pretty simply, the strap just wraps around the horizontal piece down here and then goes up. And I don't know if it's 2 different ratchet straps where, they both, grab onto that hook we just saw underneath in the middle there, or I don't know if the strap goes completely through it and then, it's kind of pulled tight between the two. Maybe that would work. I'm not really sure, but I would imagine that this works kind of like, you would expect a normal folding table to work, but because it's a strap, it's going to as you fold it down, then you're going to lose the tension on that. So I'm not sure how this works or how well it works, but I'd love to hear if you're watching and want to share that. But I'll probably reach out to you too and just see, because people were asking about it, and I'm curious also. So really cool project though, and just a really great use of materials, and just a cool table to take on adventures on the raft. So thanks so much for sharing this. Really appreciate it. Last but not least is this project, and this comes from John, and these are generator covers. He said that they like to go camping, they have an RV, and sometimes they run an AC unit, which requires a lot of power. It's really hot outside. It's really hot right now in the shop. That's why I'm sweating so much. But it's running that requires a lot of power. So they've got these generators, and basically he's got two that he puts in the bed of his truck, and he wanted to kind of create a solution to two problems. The main problem is wants to protect it from the rain and the elements, and then also keep it kind of invisible or kind of hidden a little bit from prying eyes if they're at a rest area or they stop to eat somewhere, whatever it might be. Somebody gets those or sees those generators sticking out the top and grabs them really quickly. You don't want that. So he built these frames to basically help with that, and this is really cool because it telescopes. Now the frame itself is really simple. Again, it's just 4 90-degree connectors to create that rectangular box. And then he adjusts the height thanks to a hack that we've talked about on the channel a good amount, where basically he's got 3/4 inch verticals that go up. But you'll notice he drilled some holes in these verticals, and he's using 1/2 inch EMT conduit with some of the push button tent pole clips. And I've got a video that we did on this subject. I'll link it down below so you could check that out. But basically, he just has to push in those buttons and then slide the 1/2 inch EMT up until the button pops out there. And when you do that, you get this frame that can fold down, here it is, or of course fold up. And then he's got these plastic totes that can sit on top, and he can angle them. I think we see here, so as you can see, so he can access the plugs and the different ports on there. And there's a close-up of the telescoping solution. And then there it is with the tailgate closed. You can't really see. Looks like you just got those totes in there, which is awesome. And it kind of hides those generators. So really cool, nice and simple project, and a great use of that hack that I said, or like I said, we've mentioned a few times. It's a great hack. I love seeing that incorporated into stuff because it is really useful. And you've got these adjustable covers, and just really awesome. Thanks so much, John, for sharing this. And thanks to everybody for posting your projects. All these will be linked down below if you want to check them out in more detail. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.